Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Thursday night show that we call in case you missed it. I'm Trucker Todd, as most of you know. If you're new here, thanks for coming in. Um, it's been kind of a weird week, so we'll talk about it. Everywhere I've gone, it's been super hot, um, and so when we last left off, this is the first, in case you missed it, we've done in about 3 weeks. I did do some Saturday shows and stuff to kind of offset it. But this is the first time we've been on Thursdays and here in about 3 weeks. And uh, I ended up going home. I got home late that night because we did 3.5 hours on here. Got home a little after 10:30, so I didn't get to see my wife much. She had to go to sleep because she had to work the next morning. I got up, I went and had my blood drawn, and then I went and had lunch with her and ran errands most of the day. And then that next day, I believe I was still there. We got the pickup out. You know, my pickup hadn't ran in a while, and I've got it over at the shop now. They're looking it over, and we're trying to figure out what's wrong with it. And so I booked this load here from Lubbock down to San Angelo, Texas. Just a little short load to get some money coming in, get some revenue for the week. And then I've got a load that picks up tomorrow at noon in Lubbock, and it's going to Arizona. And then I'm going to be trying to shoot right back to Texas if I can, because I do have that doctor's appointment that I did the blood work for on the 1st. Otherwise, I'll have to get that rescheduled. But today, this morning, before I went to get loaded or come to San Angelo, I was sweeping out my trailer. I swept it out real good, was getting out of the trailer, and there was a piece of rebar on the ground I didn't see, and I tripped over it and butchered my leg up bad. It looks terrible. And so I'm trying to hide it as best I can. I put on some jeans and stuff so that when I went to pick up my load, they wouldn't see a bloody leg. But yeah, it's pretty sore right now, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be even worse tomorrow. So not a great week, but anyway, that's how kind of what's been going on around here. I said hi to a lot of you before we went on, and a few more people have jumped in, so I want to say hi to everybody real quick. I try to get everybody in the comments that I can. Sometimes StreamYard will mess up and I'll miss somebody, but I generally don't try to ignore anyone unless they're just saying something ridiculous. And even then, sometimes I accidentally read those as well. Red Raiders here. Man, it's good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. I wasn't sure Red Raider would be able to make it tonight. Gary Cook is here. Hello, my friend. Roger Berry is here from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for coming in tonight. As soon as I finish this live tonight, I'll be going through Sweetwater on my way back to Lubbock. Or, well, no, I won't. I'll be going close to Sweetwater. I'll be on 84 just like you are. But I was thinking you were having surgery this week for some reason. So Abandon is in Canada. Abandon, do you stay in Canada all the time, or are you just up there for a load? I didn't know if you ran Canada exclusively or not. One of those crazy hot ass days when there ain't enough rocks to throw at people. Yeah, I got this load. I got down here to San Angelo, and I followed all the directions. They said, call 2 hours before you're going to be there. Well, they gave me two numbers. The first number I called, the guy didn't answer. The second number I called, he said, I don't work for the company no more, but I'll call and tell them you're coming. I said, okay. So I got down there, and there's no dock. They didn't have a pallet jack, and they had a huge forklift that wasn't going to be any good. And so he's like, I'm going to have to make some phone calls and see if we can get somebody out here to unload you. And he said, we may have to have you go to a different location. So I got on the phone with the broker and was telling them all about it. Fortunately, they was able to get a pallet jack, and they were able to get me unloaded. And Some of them said they might come in the chat tonight. They're they were kind of surprised I was a YouTuber, and they said, "Hey, we may come in there tonight and say hi." So we may have some new faces tonight. A lot of people say that. Some show up, some don't. So we'll just see what happens tonight. Hey, John Toohey, thanks for being here. I'm in Salisbury, North Carolina, and it was hot and warm earlier, but looks like rain is coming tonight and comfortable sleeping weather. Yeah, I sleep well when it rains. Craig Hutchison is here. Good evening, Craig. F8 Trucking is here. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Todd, get yourself a leaf blower instead of sweeping out your trailer. Blow it out. Yeah, I've been considering that. I just hadn't done it yet. I don't mind. I don't mind getting in there and sweeping it, but a leaf blower is a lot more efficient. And the only thing is with a leaf blower, when you get the dirt and debris at the back of your trailer, it's a lot harder to sweep it out. It usually blows it right out the door onto the ground. So that would be a concern I would have. But yeah, definitely. Like what was in my trailer today was just a little bit of dirt and a whole lot of wood shavings because I'd had horse bedding in the trailer. And so it would have been a leaf blower would have been great for that. Nobody's going to care if I blow some dirt or some wood flakes out on the ground as long as it's not an excessive amount. But you know, I've had these warehouses leave Coke cans back there. I've had them leave all kinds of trash, plastic bags. And so it's like they're living in it while they're unloading it. And if you've got a trailer like that, you don't want to use a leaf blower and blow it out all over the ground. Hello, Clarence. Thank you for being here. Brian Vanderway. Hello, Todd. Second video of yours I've watched. Found the channel through DIY, Cash, and F8. Like the first one, great information. I've subscribed. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. As long as you set the bar low, I'll hit it every time. But don't have great expectations or I'll disappoint you every time. But either way, man, thanks for being here. Those are some great guys you listed in that group there, and I appreciate their recommendation. Hey, my good friend Ted is here. I just finished talking to him on the phone earlier. Glad you could make it in. You're rolling. Be careful out there. You're from Fargo, North Dakota. I took a vacation, and Fargo is only a 3-hour drive from the border. Yeah, I love North and South Dakota. I just don't love the winters. If it just didn't get so dang cold up there. But the people are great up there. Here in Loves in Cordell, Georgia. Cordell, I think you mean. Exit 102. Well, there you go. Thanks for being here, man. Surgery on the 8th next month. Oh, okay. That's good. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're still able to work. Like I said, I'll be right behind you. We'd have probably ran into each other tonight if I had to do a live, but it takes me about an hour to get set up for these, and I hadn't ate nothing since early this morning, so I was eating while I was setting up the show, and just nasty, not good for you junk food from a truck stop. I was right. The rain is here and it's coming down. Well, at least you're parked. It'll cool the truck off and you can sleep like a baby tonight. If it gets to be a lot enough rain, you can open your little vents or your windows and you'll get that smell of rain in the truck. I love the smell of rain. So let's see what else is going on. The owner of the company I'm leased to called me today and he said, "Man, Todd, you're killing it." And he was really, really impressed with my revenue this month and things like that. So it seems like I'm doing things correctly, and I am starting to dig out of the mess I was in, and things are starting to get better. I said, well, I'm glad it's been a good month. I need about 2 or 3 more of them. And he said, "You'll get there. Just keep plugging away." And So it does seem like it's getting easier just because it seems like there's starting to be more loads. It does seem like rates are coming up a little bit. Now, I'm not trying to mislead you. They're not nowhere near where they're supposed to be, but they are. It does seem like things are slightly getting better. And so, not a moment too soon for sure. Gary Cook says free truck wash. There you go. And it probably does a little better than some of the truck washes I've been to. This truck here is in desperate need of a good rainstorm. I can remember when truck washes was like $25 though, and man, you can spend a fortune now getting your truck washed. Mark agrees with me. He thinks rates are up in the Midwest. Yep, it does seem better. Again, it's not, I still saw some bad ones, especially from like Arizona to El Paso, even over Arizona to Dallas. A lot of them was around $1.50, but at least there was 3 or 4 loads to choose from. Saw some real good ones going to Wyoming, but I think it'd be hard to get back down to Texas from up there. So I think there's room for optimism. I know a lot of analysts and stuff are saying maybe first quarter of next year things will bounce back, but I think we might see it a little sooner than that. Hi, Todd. I'm rolling eastbound on Interstate 90 heading to Court Lane. I'm about to drive through the area that was on fire last week before Spokane. Wow, that's cool. I mean, it's not cool, but it kind of is. It's you'll get to see it. Be careful out there, though. Cash makes a great point. Rates are up because it was brake check week, and that yeah, I didn't even think about that. That does have a lot to do with it because a lot of guys, myself included, in the past, would go home every time there was a blitz. But now, thanks to months of bad rates, I'm out here working like every day. But yeah, that does seem to have something to do with it because so many trucks come off the road and go home. But the natural optimist in me was like, oh, maybe things are improving. I saw a load of Cheyenne, Wyoming the other day, paying $4,500 to go to Florida. Yeah, I went to Florida recently, and I knew I was going to take a bath going down there, but I didn't realize how bad of a bath. I ended up getting a little short load up to Jacksonville, and then I got a load out of Georgia that wasn't great, but it was decent. Believe it went over to like Mississippi or something. So yeah, it's if I had it to do again, I'd probably do it because I got like $3 a mile going into Florida. But that's really good out of Cheyenne going down there. You can almost afford to take something cheap out when you get that good going in. I like that once you're out of the cities, you have wide open fields. The winters are no fun, but just wear layers and get heated seats. There you go. Yeah, and I know a lot of people have gone up there just because it's kind of like Odessa, which is south of where I live. You can get down there and work the oil fields and make a lot of money, and same's true up where you're at. There's a lot of money to be made in oil. That's what everybody always said, and I've never had that problem. If you work for a mega carrier, you're going to pull a beer load out of there, and it's going to be dirt cheap. If you run the spot market and you dig, you can find other stuff. But I don't even think it's just Colorado. It seems like loads in general right now. Seems like there's a lot more heavy loads than there are light loads. They're just packing these trailers, getting everything they can, and they're trying to get the most for their dollar. I get good loads out of Colorado. As a matter of fact, I'm set up with a broker right now that he's got a special file with my name on it. And every time he gets a load that meets my criteria coming out of Colorado, he calls me and we talk about it because I can get a good rate to Colorado pretty much any time. And so I'm slowly starting to set that up. I've got 2 or 3 brokers that when they have something they think I'd be interested in, they just call me and we talk about it. I got propositioned today by a guy that he said that they have 6 loads a week coming out of Lubbock, and he told me the brokers that they use, and he said that if I would just call their main office, I could probably get set up direct with them. So that's something I'll probably be looking at some point. Um, but you want to get the best you can get. It's not enough. The rate on that load is not enough that I could do it full time, but it's enough that I could do it a moderate amount of time. Broker told me today that shippers usually change contracts once a year, but that now they want to do it more often. They just cut contracts to a lower rate. Yeah, I was listening to a YouTube channel today of a CEO of a company that I used to work for, and he was saying they lost one of their big accounts today over a driver showing up late, and he had spent all day trying to save that account and was unable to. So he was stressing to his drivers the importance of picking up and delivering on time. When they set up that account, the very first trailer they took to that customer was a damaged trailer, and then they had to bring him another trailer. And he was just talking about how taking good care of your customers is essential in this market, and how many people just drop the ball. It was actually a pretty good talk. Anyone ever worked for Martin Transportation? Thinking about giving them a shot, still looking for another company. Okay, Channel 19 wants to know if anybody knows anything about Martin Transportation. Not hearsay, but if you guys have worked there or have a close friend that works there and you know something about the company, please put it in the comments so we can help Channel 19 out. To most market experts, rates are normal, volume is just down due to high capacity. That's what's weird, is that it depends who you watch. Like, I was watching one the other day, and she was saying for dry van, the average rate right now was $1.90 a mile, and she was saying that uh, over comparing it to the trends, it should be at about $2.15 a mile. So she was saying it's down about 25 cents a mile right now. Then there's some people like Craig's talking about where they say rates are normal, but it's just volumes down. But the volume's there's loads. It's just they don't pay nothing. I've been off this week because of not because of break check week, just regular home time. Yeah, I saw your video where you said you was about to go on vacation. I hope you got to do something fun. Well, hello, Jim Trucker. Glad you could make it in tonight. Do you think you could run a triangle, El Paso to Dallas to Laredo, then back to El Paso? I don't know about that specific triangle. I can tell you that right now I'm looking at some triangles, and if I could make it work, I would do that. The problem is, and I experienced this at Roadrunner, I had 2 triangles at Roadrunner, and I could do either one I wanted. I worked with a real good guy there that, we ran well together. But as soon as I made a video and said, this is what my triangle is, other people started wanting to do it, and I lost my triangle. So, or didn't lose it. It was harder to get. Oh, we've already gave that to somebody. So if I do develop a triangle at some point, a Texas triangle, or maybe a regional triangle, I'll probably have to be a little secretive about it. Yeah, set the bar low. No, I had another discussion about that this morning as well. I think we're probably going to do it sometime in mid-September. I'll be talking about where I went, why I went there, how it's going, all of that. I can tell you that from the owner's perspective, it's going well. he said revenue wise, I'm doing really well this month, possibly my best month since I've been here. And that's saying something because, I went to the home office and went out to dinner with them and hung out with them. And I've been home a couple of times. And so if this is one of my better months, either rates are coming up or I'm doing better. But yeah, it's been great, and I can't wait to tell you about it. And it'll probably be first or second week in September when I reveal that. I still, I'll be honest with you, uh, I still debate with myself if I want to say where I'm at. Cash is King, he has a great deal and he doesn't say where he's at. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that because he can come on his channel, he can say what he wants to, and he doesn't have to worry about any backlash or any retribution from the company. So we'll see, but I know that I want to help you guys, and if me sharing where I'm at could help a few of you, then I may do it, and I may do it on a real limited basis, or I may announce on the channel where I'm at. We'll see how it goes. So that one's kind of a tough question. Very technically, he does have uh, a direct customer that we can use when we're in his area if we want to. But most of us that came here signed up to run spot market. So I would say since I've been here, I've done what I would classify as direct freight with him twice, but the rest of it's been all broker freight, and I've done I think 32 loads so far, something like that. Well, you trapped on the last low bar. Yeah, I tripped on the last low bar. Yeah, yeah. It's as long as you don't set your expectations high, I can get there every time. Yeah, that's no kidding. That rebar, man, it messed me up. I thought about taking some pictures and showing y'all my leg tonight, but I'm definitely walking like an old man right now. Silos wants to know how much experience Channel 19 has. Channel 19 says he just got in from rafting trip with his girlfriend, had a blast, but now he's burned up. Yeah, I one of the medicines I take says that I can't be out in the sun very long or I'll get sunburnt. And just being out in the sun as much as I have lately, you can see my face is really, really red. Right now, I am in San Angelo, Texas, and as soon as this live finishes, I'll be driving back up to Lubbock for a noon pickup tomorrow. The truck's doing great. It really is. That's been my saving grace in this whole thing is that it has gone down a couple of times, but we've been able to get it up and get it going again, and I'm doing pretty good. The truck is. I feel real good about it now. Like I said, I drove it through the blitz. I wasn't afraid to get inspected. Anytime I feel comfortable saying this too. Anytime I've called the owner of this company and told him, "Hey, I've got a concern about this trailer," he's always wanted to take care of it. He hadn't ever said, "Well, just run with it. You'll be all right," like some of these companies do. He's been real safety minded, and so I wouldn't have been afraid to get inspected. So far, all I've got's a level 3, and it came back good. But I think I could have got through a level 1, and part of that's because of him and his willingness to have good equipment and take care of it and things like that. Part of it's me doing good pre-trips and post-trips. So yeah, it's a team effort for sure. But um, that's what I would say about that. Let's see what else y'all got tonight. So he's got two options. He's got one option where you can pay for the trailer and you get a higher percentage, and he's got another option where you don't pay for the trailer and it's a little bit lower percentage. And what he tells me is he did the math. If you run more than $16,000 a month in revenue, you make more money paying the trailer. And if you make less than $16,000 a month in revenue, you're better letting him pay the trailer. But on both plans, he covers the maintenance. So, so far, every month I've been here, I think I've been over the 16,000. So it's benefited me to pay a trailer payment and get the higher percentage. Ramon says, "Hey Todd, have a good night. Starting to drive soon." All right, man. Be careful out there. Thank you for coming in. If you get the chance to watch the replay, please do. You never know what'll come up tonight. Yeah, on the last live, you talked about getting someone to talk about insurance in a couple of weeks. Is that truck insurance or health insurance? So the guy that's supposed to come on was supposed to be here this past Tuesday, and it's for health insurance. And anybody that wants to come on here and be interviewed, there's a vetting process we go through. I check them out pretty thoroughly. I look at their stuff. I try to make sure that I vet them as good as I can. He had some emails that he was supposed to send me, and he didn't get them to me in time for me to go through them and to get him on the show. In his defense, though, he's moving from one house to another, and he just got busy and forgot. So, and I didn't remind him because I got busy doing what I do. So we've got him tentatively scheduled for a week from this coming Tuesday. And if he gets me everything he needs by that time, then we'll have him on and we can discuss health insurance. As for truck insurance, for me personally, I'm using OIDA. I've also got some people I know over at Seabright. I could get those guys on and interview them if that's something you're interested in. The problem with insurances is that they really just, I mean, they can give you generalities, and I think we're going to run into this with health insurance too. But for your specific application and what you're doing, you probably need to talk to companies directly. As for health insurance, because of HIPAA laws, I mean, we can answer questions like, would this policy cover heart attacks, or would this policy cover ultrasounds? But if we get into your specific situation, he can't really give specifics because of HIPAA laws. And so there's going to be some stuff we're not going to be able to answer on the air, and you'll have to email the health insurance guy or call him. And same thing with your truck insurance. Some companies run credit checks. All of them are going to look at your MVR. I know OIDA looked at my work history, and that I got like a 10% discount because of my work history. So, I mean, they can give you generalities, but for your specifics, they're going to have to get some information from you off air and run it that way. I just was trying to get you guys some more options. And, the Tuesday show was originally set up to be an interview show. And to be quite honest, I've just dropped the ball and not set them up. I've got probably 60 people, a year's worth of people to come on. I just haven't contacted them and set it up. So if there's somebody y'all want to see on the show, I'll be happy to bring them on. And I'm not gonna, if it's a company I've talked crap before about, I'll still bring them on. I'll be fair to them. It's not going to be a gotcha show, but I am going to ask them some questions, and hopefully we can have a healthy conversation. But yeah, anybody y'all want to see on, just email me at todd@truckertodd.net and let me know who you'd like to see. Also, if you're at a company you like and you want to come on and talk about them, or a representative from that company wants to come on and talk, we may be able to set that up too. Now, don't call me while you're in orientation and go, this is the best company ever, because I'm going to say, call me in 2 or 3 months when you've pulled some loads. But if you've been somewhere a while and your boss treats you good and you want to come on and talk about it, we can do that. Or if the recruiter of that company wants to come on and they want to answer specifics, I'll bring them on. I'll ask them about experience requirements, uh, criminal record requirements, all that kind of stuff. So just let me know what y'all want to see. I'll give you an example of some changes we've made to the show lately. Before, if I couldn't come on at 5, I didn't do a show. Several of you have said you didn't mind if I came on later. You just wanted me to do a show. So I've started doing, this is the second one I've done at 7 p.m. because I was busy that day. And it's the last one had a ton of views. It was about 150 views ahead of where it's normally at. So I know that that was a good idea to listen to your words of advice, and I appreciate y'all. And hopefully tonight we'll have a good turnout as well. I don't know who else is on tonight. Pablo says, hello, Mr. Todd. Hello. Thanks for being here, man. Hey, my men is here. Miss Limousine LLC, thank you for being here. They are a team operation. Are y'all comfortable saying where y'all are at tonight? What, you can just say what state if you want to, or if you're headed east or west. If you don't want to say, that's okay too. Yeah, OIDA does offer health insurance, but I think it's just like a major medical plan, like through UTBA or somebody like that. I haven't really looked into it. I get my coverage off of healthcare.gov. Now, you guys know politically, I'm on the other side. I opposed the Affordable Care Act, as it was called, when it came out. But now that it's out, you have to take advantage of every loophole and opportunity that's available to you, even if you don't agree with it. Wesley's in Allentown, Pennsylvania tonight. Thank you for coming in, my friend. No, but I was over there, and I wasn't going to tell this part of the story. My wife was there, and there was a homeless guy about 20 feet from us with a bicycle and a few Bud Lights, and he was laying on the ground drunk, passed out. And he woke up while I was sweeping out my trailer and was kind of watching. He was talking to me and my wife, and he saw me fall, and my leg was so gory that he started crying. Like, it really scared him. And I don't know if it was real fear of the alcohol, but uh, he was really concerned about me. He wanted me to get medical treatment, and I wasn't going to listen to nobody. I had a load to pick up, and I had already committed to it, and I didn't care if we amputated my leg in the alley. I was going to go pick that load up on time. But it was pretty gory, and they were both trying to wipe the dirt and stuff off of me. And when I got in the truck and saw how gory it was, I was like, oh, I gotta change clothes before I go pick up a load. But yeah, it was a little bit embarrassing and a whole lot of painful. When you get to be 50, it's different, because like when you're in your 20s, you fall down, you bounce back up like nothing happened, and you're concerned about who sees you. When you're 50, you lay there for a minute and you kind of wiggle your toes and wiggle your legs and your arms, make sure nothing's broke. Then you kind of evaluate uh, how the damage and the situation, and then you slowly climb to your feet. So just one more reminder, I'm getting old. Washington State going to Fife with load and going back tomorrow to North Carolina. Yep, so y'all are up a little bit north of me then. I've been so out of touch this week. I hadn't looked at weather or nothing. I've just been head down working. Have you started to winterize your truck yet? Not yet, I haven't. Probably not a bad idea. I've got a service that'll be coming due probably in about 3 or 4 weeks. and I'll probably just get everything done at once when I get the service done. OTR Vic read my mind. Evening from Muskogee, Oklahoma, and no, I'm not at Trucks for You. LOL. That's what I was going to ask you, is if you was at Trucks for You. So are you at the Pilot or are you down at the QT? I personally prefer the QT, but it's a lot harder to get parking over there. Did you have a nice trip? Yeah, I can't really describe it. I was stepping down, and I'm always real careful getting out of the trailers because, in the old days we'd jump down, and a lot of guys that screwed up their backs and legs and everything jumping out. So I always kind of get out real slow and easy. And we had that homeless guy there, and my wife was there, so I was kind of keeping my eye on him in case he, you know, with the alcohol and all got sideways, and I had to deal with him. So I was kind of keeping my eye on him and not paying attention to what I was doing. And I hit that rebar just enough to really mess myself up. And I knew at that point he was a good guy, because if he was going to do something bad, if he had bad intentions, that was his opportunity. I was down and I wasn't going to be able to do nothing for a few minutes. Yeah, this guy on the health insurance, we've talked several times. I think he's going to be okay, but like he also has some life insurance offerings and things like that. And I want to look over all of his stuff before I bring him on, not so that I can get him with gotcha questions, but just so um, I can ask him good questions so that we can get the most out of it. And so that's he does specialize working with truck drivers, so he has a rudimentary understanding of what we do, the kind of coverage we're looking for. He's gearing towards plans that would work in all the states if you got hurt or something like that in another state. Of course, if you got hurt in another state, your workers' comp or your occupational accident should cover it if it's an on the job injury. Again, I got to be careful. I'm not an insurance agent. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. So you'd still want to check with the professionals, but that's my understanding of things based on the research I have done so far. And I do need to give a full disclaimer. I did hold at one time my insurance agent's license in Texas for health insurance. Um, I sold life insurance and health insurance for a few months when I was burned out on trucking, and I decided that wasn't for me. I like car sales and stuff like that a lot better. I'm going to start driving now. We are switching now here at I-80. All right, well, be real careful. Hopefully you can still listen. If you got to go, though, hopefully you can catch the replay later, but I appreciate you coming in tonight. You're at that Pilot with that Subway. Eddie Moon says, greetings, Todd. Hello, Eddie. Thanks for being here. So here is the deal on that. I do not have my own workers' comp insurance. And it's mainly, well, there's not a good reason. There was a good reason in the beginning. It had to do with the Volvo at F2F and how I was doing things there versus how I'm doing things here. And I meant to add it, but I hadn't added it yet. But I'm probably going to add it this week because I was also looking at passenger insurance for my wife to ride with me. It's extremely cheap, like $130, $140 a month. So it's not cost prohibitive, and you need it for just instances like this. You step wrong in a parking lot and screw up your ankle, or you're helping unload a trailer and you hurt your back or something like that. So um, I'm definitely going to be getting it very, very, very soon. I just got a call and add it. It's not really even that big a deal, but it would have been a big deal if I'd have been, if I'd have fell and broke something today. It'd have been a real big deal. I got health insurance to cover the injury, but no money coming in while I'm down. Incidentally, too, I probably should say this. In all the years that I've either done a lease purchase or had my own truck, this is the first time I've ever been without workers' comp. And for owner operators, they call it occupational accident. And so confessing it now, I'm ashamed to admit it, but I'll be adding that very quickly in the next few days. I've got a decent amount of money coming in the next few days. And when that money gets here, that's going to be one of the first things I add. That's also why I'm able to go ahead and get my pickup fixed now, too. Be able to pay for everything all at once. Okay, we're at 42 minutes. What else do y'all want to talk about tonight? Yeah, all of the lease purchase companies are going to make you get it. And either through them or on your own accord. At Swift, I actually had my occupational accident through them, and then I had all my other insurance through OIDA. And I did it that way because I thought, well, if I get an on the job injury, it'll be easier for Swift to get the claim approved than if I have to run it through an outside source. So I had it through Swift when I was there. And then when I left Swift, I got to go back in my memory and think, and in my records, I believe with F2F, I had it through F2F as well. There was a point where I had it through OIDA, and I don't remember when that was, but I may have had it through OIDA when I was at F2F. No, it had to be through F2F because that's anyway. Things got all screwed up. Everything got topsy turvy when the accident happened. My phone's doing weird things over here. I glance at it sometimes because if you guys comment, I can see it a little quicker. There's about a 8 or 10 second delay on these videos. But if you guys got anything y'all want to talk about, throw it up there. And if not, we may wrap this in quick and I'll get on the road. After the 3.5 hours the other night, I came prepared tonight. I got drinks everywhere. Do you feel like the Jay Leno of trucking sometimes? Well, when I started the Tuesday show, I wanted it to kind of be the Johnny Carson of trucking. I wanted to bring people on and them talk about their companies or their trucking related products and stuff like that. Um, what I didn't realize when I was doing that is how time consuming it can be um, to run a live show and to do all the phone calls I do and drive a truck and book loads and try to be actively involved in my family's lives as well. So it's tough to do, but I like this. I really do, and I like interacting with everybody. Um, but yeah, my favorite late night would be probably Craig Ferguson was funny. Sometimes he got a little too dirty, but he was funny. And of course, I liked Johnny Carson. Um, there's several of them I like. Jay Leno was good in his day. David Letterman, when he was still at NBC, was really funny. But whenever he didn't get the Carson show, he just didn't seem like he was as funny after that. Maybe he was a little bitter. Did you get the F-150 new turbos? So yeah, in the original repair, the $8,000 something repair, we did cam phasers, we did 2 new turbos, we did a lot of work to the truck. And the initial report I got today about it, they said that the blow off valve on the turbo was bad on one side and they were replacing that. It was my understanding that when they replaced the turbos, it would have new blow off valves. But he said he went back and looked at the original ticket and they didn't replace those. So I authorized him to fix that. Um, so there's going to be more issues when they get beyond that, and we'll just have to look at it and see what it entails fixing it. But I love that truck, so if there's a way I can fix it and keep it, I will. Have you been to Jubit's? Oh yeah, many times. Not as much as I'd like to, but yeah, I've been there. I've been there several times. Oh, I'm glad you brought this up, Gary, because I forgot all about it. Yes, I've got that solar powered headset on, the one that they mailed me. This is actually the second one. The first one broke on me. And this one, they've definitely made some design changes to it to make it tougher. And so let me show you what they did. Hopefully y'all can still hear me while I do this. So right here on this end, this inside piece right here is a different piece of plastic. This is what cracked on the other one, and this one's a lot more sturdy. So this is hands down the best headset I've ever had. Um, and if you get a chance to get one, use the link and save that 20%. You might as well get it at a bargain. But yeah, as a matter of fact, I may be giving these away as Christmas gifts to some family and stuff that drive a lot, because it's pretty solid. I don't think my son would use it at his auto shop. I think it would get in his way, but I'll be evaluating family that drives a lot and stuff like that, and seeing if they think they could use one. Call me later when it's convenient for you to do so. Yes, sir. As soon as the show's over, I'll be driving for about 3 hours, and so I'll have time to give you a call. I miss Johnny Carson. Yeah, I do too. Him, and there's just certain people that they could bring them on the show, and even if it was a guest you didn't like, they could make them interesting and still make it funny. And so we probably won't ever have another one like that. The new late night hosts aren't funny, in my opinion. Brian Walton says he's back on the road in Louisiana. Good deal. Be careful out there. He's heading to Georgia. What's the cheapest you bought diesel out on the West Coast for? Well, I hadn't really been to the West Coast because with this company, because the guy that I'm working for now doesn't want us taking loads to California or Oregon. So, I mean, I've gone to like Washington State a couple of times, but I never made it all the way over to the coast. An easier thing that we could do though is if you're basically wanting to know what how well my ES Advantage fuel card works, we can pick a random city and I can pull the diesel prices for that city and give you a ballpark idea. So this headset here, you can charge it with a Type A cord if you want to, but it charges solarly on top of it. Where it says Eco Pro, there's little solar panels in there, and it charges off of any light. So right now, while I got the lights on in the cab, it's still charging. I've never got it below 50%, and I'm on it all day long. It's pretty much impossible to kill, in my opinion, and it seems like it charges pretty fast too. They on the box they advertise that if you charge it for an hour, it'll talk for 2 hours. But the problem is it's always charging, so you never find out. The only way you could kill it in 2 hours is if you was in a completely pitch dark room like a closet or something. It's phenomenal the way it works. No Fear said he did 424 a gallon in Kingman, Arizona. Let me look real quick. Let's do a comparison. Uh, y'all know this ain't staged because I'm doing it right here in front of you. I'm going to look up what, if I used my ES Advantage card, what I could buy fuel for in Kingman, Arizona. If my phone will work. We may have another technical issue. Let's look. 25 miles of. It's hard to do if you're not in that city. All right, let's go back. I know this is interesting video to watch me play on my phone. I get frustrated. All right, going to Kingman, Arizona. In Kingman, Arizona. Okay. Search. Yeah. So it's 173.9 a liter here in Canada. Somebody'd have to convert that to gallons and stuff for that to mean anything to me. Yeah, sunlight, any kind of light will charge it. Sunlight charges it faster than room light. So in Kingman right now, it's not great. You beat me in Kingman. Getting the cheapest I see in Kingman is 4.43 a gallon. So you did beat me there. Pump price there is looks like it's about $4.95 a gallon pump price if I'm reading this. Yeah. And so I'm saving 52.5 cents a gallon there. Mark says check Portland, Oregon. Alrighty. We can do that. In Portland, Oregon, it is it's loading, sorry. In Portland, Oregon right now, it's also 4.24 a gallon in Portland, Oregon. Actually, right before you get to Portland, Oregon. In the city of Portland, Oregon, it's 4.26, but if you stop right before you get there, it's a little cheaper, like 4.24. But we're checking the highest places in the country. And now it just went blank. It's hard to do this when you're on Yeah, it's showing the TA Express and Biggs which is Wasco, Oregon for 424. That's probably one of the ones we saw a minute ago. ES Advantage told me that the discounts suck in Illinois and Ohio. They've never told me that. I just like from where I'm at to where I'm going, it has a route thing, and I just look and I buy the cheapest on my route, unless I know that my next load's going to take me through a cheaper place, and then I just buy enough to get to the next cheapest place. This was what I was worried about for the guy that was asking about Martin. Martin's a good company. They pay layover, detention, and inclement weather pay. Mostly, if not all, temperature controlled freight. Never worked for them, but have talked to several of their drivers who only had good things to say about the company. Yeah, he was spelling Martin with an I instead of an E, and I believe that one is a tanker company, if I'm not mistaken. So there's several Martins, and they all spell just a little bit slightly different. So I'm afraid we may be getting him the wrong information for the wrong company. Don't know for sure. Hopefully he's still here and he can tell us if that's the Martin he's referring to, or if it's IN or EN. Don't buy in California. Yeah, I try not to. Here lately, I've heard guys argue that you should buy in California, and I don't. I always, if I have to get fuel in California, I get 50 gallons and try to get out. Did anybody watch the debate last night? I didn't see it. Did you see it? And who do you think come away uh, winning it? And I hadn't even got to listen to the commentary on it. I've always been told never buy fuel in Oregon, top off in Idaho. Yeah, you really shouldn't be buying fuel in California or Oregon if you can avoid it, is what I've always been told. The debate was a joke, Wesley, according to Brian Walton. I did that a lot when I was at Swift. I went to a lot of mom and pops because, the big chain ones that we all know, they'll say we're giving you 50 cents a gallon off, but they mark it up and they're 40 cents higher than the mom and pops. So a lot of times you can still save over what the discount is if you go to the mom and pops. The fear I have about the mom and pops is that they might have old fuel. So if I stop at a mom and pops, I want to stop at one that I see a lot of truck traffic in the fuel island. Yeah, Gary pointed out there's also a Martin milk service. Wesley likes Ron DeSantis. What do you get in Columbus, Ohio? Let's look real quick. I don't want to do this all night, but I'll do a couple more. So I'm going to answer that in two ways here because it's easier to do. I'm running it first like if I was running a trip from where I'm at now to Columbus, Ohio, and it tells me that the cheapest fuel I could get would be in Dallas at $3.69 a gallon. But if I stopped in Columbus, it tells me that the cheapest in the Columbus area is right before you get to Columbus, and it would be, looks like 406 a gallon right before you get to Columbus. So, but I would never do that. What I would do is, like I was saying, I would look on here. I would see that Dallas was the cheapest, and I would try to get enough for my whole trip there in Dallas at looks like 369 a gallon. Yeah, no fear's right. Fuel in California is over $5 a gallon right now. Oh, I don't want to go too political tonight. I Mike Pence comes across as an opportunist, and I guess they're all opportunists. But he really turned on Donald Trump, in my opinion, because he thought it would help him politically, and it's backfiring on him now for sure. I watched Donald Trump's interview with Trucker Carlson that aired at the same time. It was very good. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that if I would have been thinking last night or been available last night. Um, I would have probably watched that instead of the debate. But you know, I was trying to do a little family time. Yeah, we'll see. It depends how nasty it gets. They they've been pretty critical of each other, and I realize that's going to happen in a primary, but it's too soon to tell. It's we're a long ways away from that, and all it takes is one verbal fumble somewhere to mess somebody up. Right now, this if you want me to talk politics for a second, right now I think Trump is the man to beat. So yeah, polling wise, he polls ahead of Biden. He polls ahead of all the other uh, Republican challengers combined. And so it's his to lose. It seems like the more they bring charges up against him, the more it seems to help him. And unless he makes a really big mistake, and anything's possible, I think it's going to be tough to beat Trump. I mean, the one thing you can't argue about with Trump, you can argue about his tactics. You can argue about his bedside manner, let's call it. You know, sometimes he's rude, sometimes he's obnoxious, but you can't argue about his economic successes or his international successes for that matter. And so, yeah, I think people look over the last 3 years and they go, I think Trump was a little better. And I think he's got a real good shot to win it if he doesn't blow it in some way. And I think it was wise of him to stay out of that debate. With this kind of a lead, that debate doesn't really help him. There's too big of a chance he slips up or they get him in a gotcha moment. And sure, at some point he's going to have to debate, but he'll wait till the field trims down a little bit. VP Mike Pence was disappointing. Yeah, I think what he was hoping was that the anti-Trumpers would get behind him because he stood up to Trump. But I mean, a lot of people view him as a traitor now. So I don't think he's going to be in real long. I look for him to step out pretty soon, probably after the Iowa caucuses. Gary, I think no matter if Trump is in jail, he'll win it and run from jail. Well, if you know, even if he does go, even if he does get convicted, it'll be after the election. So once he gets in office, if he wins, let's say that, and again, I'm not a political scholar. I'm giving you my opinion based on what I've seen. I don't think that uh, they can arrest a sitting president. So even if they convicted him after he gets elected, he's not going to jail. And so far, everything they've thrown at him, he's beat. And they admit this new charge that they're going with in Georgia is one of their weakest ones. So I just don't see it. I think it's political theater, and I think it's backfiring on them. I think Biden could help himself a lot right now if he just said, you know, I've asked the Justice Department to drop these charges, and because I don't think it helps the country, and I'm going to beat him in the political world. And then I think it would help Biden a lot because right now he looks vindictive, he looks mean, and he looks political. And quite frankly, I'll go ahead and say it: the Republicans do too, going after Hunter Biden. That swamp that Trump used to talk about looks more and more real when both sides are just slinging mud at each other. I think everybody's tired of seeing that. Let's hear how they're going to fix the economy Let's hear how they're going to get inflation under control. Let's hear their foreign policy ideas on both sides. And let's quit trying to see if I can throw your son in jail or if you can throw me in jail. Let's talk facts. Do you do your own IFTA reporting or does your company do it for you? I have never done my own IFTA reporting. I always let the company do it because if there's an audit, I want them to be on the hook, not me. Wesley says, yes, true. Fueled up at 361 a gallon in Dallas earlier with TSD open roads. Well, there you go. That doesn't sound bad. I bought some the other day somewhere, and it was like, I want to say 347 a gallon. California IFTA went up to 86 cents. Arizona's 26. Fuel is 60 cents more in California. You can either pay the IFTA now or later. Either way, it's the exact same cost. Yeah, that's a good point. That's the argument they were making the other day about California fuel not being as overpriced than what everybody thinks it is after you figure in IFTA and everything. Now that I don't go to California or Oregon anymore, I just don't follow it as closely as I used to. But if a lot of you are going out there and you want me to keep an eye on it, I'll start looking into it a little closer. By the way, I'm glad you're here tonight, southbound. I was wondering if you was here or not. I hadn't heard you say nothing yet. Yeah, I mean, whether you like Trump or hate Trump, the one thing you can say is he is the ultimate promoter. He knows how to get his name in the news, and he knows how to get people talking about him. The biggest problem that all these Republican challengers have is just getting their voice heard, because even when they're taking questions from the news media, they're being asked questions about Trump. Well, what do you think about Trump for this? What do you think about what Trump said about that? So they're all having messaging problems and getting their agendas out because it's a Trump-centered media. And so I think this whole this whole legal dilemma that's going on only helps Trump. And that may be why the Democrats are doing it. This is a strategy you might not have thought of. The Democrats' main purpose in coming after Trump right now is maybe they know it helps him, and maybe that's who they want to face in a general election. They've already beat him once, and maybe they think if they can get him in a general election, they can beat him again. I don't think they can. I think the first time they scared people with COVID, and I think they're going to have a lot harder time scaring people with COVID now. Now, one thing you can say about that, there's a new variant of COVID out, and somebody emailed me the other day telling me we should all mask up again, and they were scared and they were worried. And I was like, I didn't mask up the first time. I almost lost my YouTube channel because I called it what it was from the beginning. And I probably shouldn't be mentioning it tonight. I'm going to end up getting my channel canceled. But yeah, you can't live your life in fear, worrying about what might happen tomorrow, what might not happen tomorrow. Sure, it's a good idea to be careful. I wouldn't walk up and hug a stranger that was coughing and had a runny nose. And same thing, if somebody has clear, obvious signs of being sick, yeah, you probably want to keep your distance. Here's a big one that none of you do. You wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. Uh, keep your truck clean. I have Lysol in here. I spray my truck. It's generally pretty clean in here. It's not clean in here right now. I didn't get it clean while I was at home, but yeah, don't live your life in fear. Some of you will never buy a truck. You'll never do a lease purchase because you're afraid you might fail. If you fail, pick yourself up and try again. I thought here recently, the last couple of months, I thought I was going to fail. I lost a lot of sleep about it. I lost a lot of worry about it. And none of that sleepless nights or worry helped me fix anything. Getting out here and working hard and working smart's what's fixing things. And so don't let a few naysayers or fear keep you from doing whatever you want to do in trucking or in other areas of your life. Yeah, I'll have to go back and check that out. My problem is time, and it's just I never have a free moment to do things. But I'll usually on the weekends I'll have a little bit of time here and there. The phones kind of die down. Sometimes you're waiting for a warehouse to open on Monday, and if I get some time this weekend, or maybe on my long drive to Arizona, if the phones aren't ringing a lot, I'll try to listen to it. Yeah, I made more money, but some of it was probably Trump related and some of it wasn't. I was working at Roadrunner when COVID hit, and that's an LTL company. So we switched, and I started pulling a lot of rubber gloves, a lot of hand sanitizer, a lot of masks, a lot of paper towels, a lot of toilet paper, and I made a killing. Um, so I did really well during COVID, while a lot of people went under, and it was tough to watch because I felt bad for others that were suffering while I was doing really, really well. Have they said who's running with Trump yet? No, it's way too early for that. Um, they'll have the primaries, and he'll pick somebody near the end of the primaries, probably. Basically, if you pick early, if you pick your running mate earlier, it just gives the other opposition more time, more ammo to attack you with. So they'll hold off on that for a while. Send prayers to Hawaii. Yeah, that's a mess over there. And it sounds like that's another situation where the ball got dropped a few times. And if it had been handled better, who knows? Maybe there'd have been less fatalities. But um, there's a lot of bitterness over there right now. Hawaii is a blue state. It's been Democratic for years and years and years, probably for the whole time it's been in statehood. And they didn't get the support you would think the Democrats would have gave them. And is it Joe Biden's fault? Maybe, maybe not. He's the one that takes the blame for it. But a lot of agencies under him uh, kind of do their own thing, and they do with every president. So I don't know if it's all his fault, but he's definitely taken some heat for it. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. I think they're going to meet a lot of resistance if they try to do that again. I think people realize now that they were manipulated in large part. I mean, here's the facts. And man, I'm going to regret talking about this. Here's the facts about this: people get sick every day, people die every day. It's a sad reality of life. The older you get, the more you see it and the more funerals you visit. And, you know, they, they told us, get the shot and you won't catch it. And well, we found out that's not true. Now people have heart problems because of it. And they say, well, people that didn't get the shot died. That's true. People that did get the shot died too. So I think it's a personal choice. Why is it, and somebody answer this for me, why is it that a woman has a right to choose if she wants to have an abortion or not, if she wants to kill a kid, but I don't have a right to choose if I have to get a vaccination? That makes no sense. We've heard in this whole abortion debate, it's my body, my right to choose. I can do whatever I want with my body. Well, why does that not apply to COVID vaccinations? Somebody explain that to me. Has anyone heard the song by Oliver Anthony, Rich Men North of Richmond? Yeah, I listened to the song. It's a great song. He actually talked about why he wrote that song. He never wanted to be famous, never wanted to do music professionally. He wrote that song because he was in a real depressed state, and he's even been suicidal at times. He's wrote a couple other songs that are out on YouTube now, but it is a really good song. I agree with John. It is a must listen to. It's a rare song in this day and age because it just kind of tells it how it is. Well, it looks like I'm stopped for the night. Was trying to go further, but a driver ran off the road here in Lexington, Tennessee, about a 2-hour backup. So without time to wait, I am shut down. Oh man, I hate that for you, Tim. Well, that's another thing. They've proven that the masks didn't prevent anything, and in a lot of cases, it made people more sick because they were breathing their own carbon dioxide. So, again, so YouTube doesn't freak out on me. I'm not a medical provider. I'm not representing any hospital. I just think this whole thing is bogus, and I'm just sharing my opinion. And if this channel gets taken down because of my comments tonight, I'll have a new channel up real soon. We'll probably call it Trucker Todd 2 or something like that. Y'all find me on YouTube and we'll start the van up again, or the band. Yes, the driver is okay from what I hear. Well, that's good. I didn't either. I went to New York and wasn't wearing one. Well, Roadrunner gave me a letter that I carried around that said I could go into the dangerous places. At the time, my wife was riding on the truck with me a lot. We went into, I believe it was Gallup, New Mexico, when they had the city shut down. And it was like one of the worst places in the country. Neither one of us ever got sick. They also said that 40 to 60% of the population had a natural immunity to it. So you weren't going to get sick anyway. And I had all the health factors that made me a high risk. I had diabetes. I had high blood pressure. I was overweight. I was in the age category, but I wasn't afraid. I just prayed and did what I do. Not much, Gregory Spears. Thanks for being here. John Toohey says hi to Tim, and he was in one of those just outside of Louisville. Good friend Daryl is here. Better late than never. That's right, my friend. Thank you for being here. We're just chugging along. I read an article about J.B. Hunt. He was not scared to fail. Now his company's worth $21 billion. Well, I mean, you look back on your life and anything you ever wanted to do, somebody's laughing at you. Oh, you can't do that. You're not rich enough. You're not smart enough. You're too old. You're too young. You're too fat. You're too skinny. You're too tall. You're too short. And you just have to say, I don't care. I'm going to try anyway, and go for it. You know, when you get to be, and I've said this in other videos, when you get to be 75 years old and you're sitting on the porch looking over your life, you're not going to be thinking about all the failures that you had for things that you always wanted to try and maybe you didn't succeed at it. You're going to be looking at the things you wish you would have done. I wish I'd have spent more time with my kids. I wish I'd have took that vacation. My first father-in-law, I've told this story I think before. He found out he had cancer and he was about to die, and he had always wanted to ride on the truck with me, and he had never done it. He had always been working. He had always been busy, and he was wanting to go to Houston to a cancer treatment place. And he asked his doctor, I've always wanted to ride on the truck with Todd. Can I just ride on the truck one time with him down to Houston so I can get treatment at that hospital? And at that point, um, they said, no, you're too sick. You wouldn't make the trip. You'd die on Todd's truck. And so that's what I'm talking about. When he got to that point in his life, he was thinking about chances he wished he had taken, things he wished he had done, not regretting trying something and failing at it. And so, you know, if you've got something that is burning in your stomach and you wish you've tried it at some point in your life, take a shot. You might be the one that gets it done. You're not going to regret trying. And even if you fail, you're going to learn something from it. Hey, John, yeah, traffic backups are one thing I will always hate the ELD for. We are penalized for someone else's mistake or dumb drivers. John Toohey 100% agrees. I'm nervous about calling John Toohey after the show. I wonder if I'm in trouble for something. I told the company I was with to F off. I wasn't taking it. There you go. Yeah, he's experiencing a lot of success right now. There's an interview they did with him. His real name is not Oliver. Oliver's actually his grandfather's name, and he did it as a tribute to his grandfather. But he's dealt with a lot of things in his life, a lot of personal problems, a lot of depression, and he really means the lyrics of those songs. He's really depressed and he's really sad about the direction the country's taken. And man, it'd be great if we could get him on a Tuesday show. I'd like to pick his brain. And see, talk about failure. I'm just crazy enough that I'm willing to contact his people and try. I ain't scared. He probably wouldn't come on here. My channel's a little small for him, but I ain't afraid to ask. Well, made it to my delivery for in the morning. Good deal. Good deal, Ted. Are you going to bed or are you going to stick with us for a little bit? Gentry is live. Yeah, a lot of people have been saying I need to check Gentry out. I'll do that one day, but I won't do it while I'm going live. I never took the COVID jab and I caught it. Yeah, it seemed to, hit some people and not hit some people. But, these later variations, the first strands of it were pretty bad and a lot of people died. These latest variations, I had a lot of family members that caught it and they were sick for 2 or 3 days and then they were back to normal. And some people got one jab, but they didn't get the second jab. And they said that was more dangerous than if you didn't get them at all. But what was funny was, and it was these drug companies that were doing this, they'd say, oh, you need booster shots for the rest of your life. So if, they kind of reeled us in. At first it was, hey, you need this one shot. Then it was, hey, you need this one shot plus one. And then it was, hey, you need these 2 shots plus this other one. And they were just extending it out and extending it out. And here's the question I got. This COVID is a virus, just like HIV is a virus. Why is it that we could cure COVID in less than 2 years, but we've had HIV since the 80s and we've got treatments for it, but no cure? Why was this virus so much easier to come up with a cure for or a vaccination for? I just think the whole thing's rigged, and maybe it's the skepticism in me, but there's something about this that ain't right, and I'm not getting the shot. Trump would have been reelected if he'd have kept his mouth shut and stayed off social media. He did a lot of good things, but he said really stupid stuff that didn't help his popularity. I would say to that, I wanted to think before I responded. I would say to that he also said some things that were taken out of context and weren't portrayed the way he intended them to be portrayed. Yep, Colonel Sanders did start his company at age 60 and was almost a senator. He was short, I think, 160 something votes. His story is pretty interesting about failure and success, and so is Abraham Lincoln. Uh, if you read Abraham Lincoln's story, you'll believe anybody could be president. I mean, he failed at a lot of things before he found success. Yeah, Dave Thomas is another interesting story. Dave Thomas was actually adopted. That's why he had a fondness in his heart for adoptions and why Wendy's did so much for adoptions. And so, yeah, some of these, if you're looking for good audiobooks while you're cruising down the road, check out some of these people we're mentioning here tonight. They've got motivational stories that might inspire you to take a chance on something. Well, good deal, Ted. I'll be glad you're hanging around. Feel free to comment if you got something to throw into the mix. For some reason, my comment wasn't complete. Well, let's go back and take Take another look at it. So what it said was, I never took the COVID jab and I caught it. Was that not what you meant for it to say? Ted had 12 minutes left. There you go. Yeah, I do too, to a degree. I think that, you know, his problem was he wasn't a career politician. So he did kind of like I do on here. He said whatever was on his mind, and he didn't filter it as much as he probably should have. But I mean, the media would take clips of what he said and make him out to be a racist and all this other stuff. And the funny thing about that is, you can go just a few years prior to that and look at him, and he's standing there with Jesse Jackson and Oprah Winfrey, and they're all hugging him and high-fiving him and talking about how much they like the guy. But the second he announced he was a Republican, they were done with him and he was a racist. The media will make anyone look good and they can make people look bad. Yep, that's true. And I have it happen to me on here too. There's YouTubers that take clips of what I say and turn it around and twist it and make me out to be all kinds of things that I'm not. I'm not even going to repeat some of the rumors they've put out about me that couldn't be further from the truth. I got sick from it, but I'll never take the jab. Lost my taste for some foods, but natural immunity is the only way to eradicate it. Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple of restaurants I've ate at lately that I wish I didn't have my taste when I went in there. A couple of truck stops for sure. Sorry I'm late, but my question is, how feasible are those ARI legacy sleepers for saving your income towards a more comfortable living? Is it more senior drivers who have dedicated runs who can drive? So those, I actually did a couple of videos on those when I was at Matt's, and he's talking about the huge sleepers that are almost like little RVs. They got a stove, queen size bed, shower, toilet, really fancy. Typically, you'll find those in operations where guys are hauling lighter loads, household movers, things like that. And I would make an argument that those guys need it because they'll pull into a neighborhood and sometimes they'll be there a week moving a house. And they need a place to go to the toilet. They need a place to cook. They need a place to get a shower. And so you'll see them in those capacities. Occasionally you'll see one at Landstar, and but they're not pulling 46,000 pounds with those. Also, you've got some length restrictions you've got to be concerned about in certain places. Also, they're ridiculously expensive. But just a quick walk through one, or if you go back and watch some of my TikTok videos I did through them, they are pretty nice when I could show them without people putting their bratty kids jumping on the couch or something. But yeah, they've got their place in trucking, but it's just it's hard to use them in a lot of applications. And as far as senior drivers, I don't know that that's the case because they are so expensive. The guys I see driving them usually aren't senior drivers. I guess if we're referring to age, maybe they're experienced drivers, because you'd have to be to get to a point in your life where you could afford one. I agree with you, Todd, on the COVID thing. Things were going way too good under Trump when COVID came along. Very suspicious. Yeah, and now they're finding out that, Fauci and all these people were investing in that Chinese lab where this came from. And I kind of wonder, and we'll never know, but just the skeptical person inside of me wonders, were they trying to develop some kind of biological weapon? And at the same time, they were creating an antibody in case they got exposed to it. It seems like more of a weaponized drug than it does a natural occurring virus. And I don't believe the virus came from people being with monkeys or nothing like that. I believe it was created in a lab in Wuhan, China, And I believe that we had some American investors and some Chinese investors. And I believe that's why they came up with the antidote so quick, because they were working on it at the same time they were creating the virus. Well, COVID's still everywhere right now. It's just that it's in a weaker form. Each variation that comes out of it now seems to be getting weaker instead of stronger. But you look back over the history of man, and every so many years, I forget what it was, like every 40 years or 60 years, there's a major plague that comes along. You know, we had the bubonic plague, we had the swine flu, we've had uh, all. There's just been a ton of them over the years, and they last a few years, and then we get over them. There was a polio uh, that went around for a while that was real extreme, got a lot of people. One of my good friends in high school, his mom had polio real bad, and so you just you can't live your life in fear about what might happen. I mean, I could get out of this truck in a minute and get ran over by a bus, but I don't lock myself in the truck and never exit it because I'm afraid something bad might happen to me when I step out of the truck. Brian's going to bed. 4 a.m. comes early. Good night, everyone. Oh, they're just like RVs and campers and everything else. It depends how you get them equipped. You can spend as much or as little as you want to, and option them as heavily or as lightly as you want to. But I looked at, I think, 3 or 4 of them when I was at Matt's. Yeah, you're not going to see any of those ARI legacy sleepers in a lease purchase program, though. Want to remind everybody while y'all are still typing comments, you can reach me on my website at truckertodd.net. You can also email me at todd@truckertodd.net with questions, show ideas, things like that. Also, feel free to give this video a thumbs up, share it on your social media platforms, and subscribe so that you receive notifications when new videos come out. That really helps me a lot, and I would greatly appreciate it. And that way you can stay aware of what's going on. When it first came out, so many people died. Now you don't hear anybody dying from it anymore. Think about that one. Yeah, it's and again, I'm going to make people mad when I say this, and I really didn't want this to go political. But did you notice how it was such a terrible thing, and then after the election was over, it wasn't that big a deal anymore? Come January, it was, oh, we got it under control. Everything's going to be okay. Just wonder about those ARI sleepers. If one would be a driver, let's say for 20 years, would you then have such dedicated runs where you could fit your income for profit still? Well, it all comes down to what you're hauling. If you had a government contract and you were pulling, 25, 30,000 pound loads, you could probably do it. If you had a mail run that paid pretty good, you could do it. But it's more designed. The guys that typically do that are the household movers, that they're going in a rich neighborhood. They're spending a week and parked in front, a week, not a weekend, a week parked in front of somebody's house. And from daylight hours, they're moving couches and armoires and furniture out and inventorying it and taking pictures and placing it safely on the trailer where it won't get scratched up. And they need a place they can go cook them something to eat, make a sandwich, go to the bathroom, take a shower because they're hot and sweaty at the end of the day. And so they're more suited for that application. Your average over-the-road driver is going to be at a truck stop. You're going to have access to showers. They're not going to be parked in a neighborhood for a week at a time unless they're at home. When COVID was around, I got colds, even had the flu, but was able to get rid of it like I normally do, medicine and rest. Well, that's something else. And man, I know I'm getting myself in trouble tonight. Did you notice when this was all going on and when it was in its height, nobody got the flu anymore? Nobody. Everybody had COVID. And then we found out later the hospitals were getting $7,000 for every COVID that they pronounced. So let's say what they would do, and this has been proven, if you went in with a heart attack, they would say, they would determine, oh, you had COVID while you had the heart attack. So instead of saying you died from a heart attack, they'd list that you died from COVID so they could get the $7,000. Or you had a stroke and died. Instead of saying that the stroke was a contributing factor, they'd just list it that you died of COVID. And so the government was incentivizing making making a bigger deal out of it than what it was. And now reports are coming out and they're saying, yeah, uh, there wasn't as many COVID deaths as we originally reported, and it's off a lot. They're not saying we was off by 1,000. They're going, we was off by 50%, and so it's the truth comes out eventually. And a lot of people were fooled for a while, but it's the old story about crying wolf too many times. Now, when there is a real emergency, and we do really need to get a shot, and it is serious, there's going to be so many people like me that are skeptical because you've already fooled me once, or you fooled them. You didn't fool me because the videos, well, actually, the video's not up. I've got the video where I called this like it was, and YouTube sent me a really nasty email, told me if I did it again, they'd pull my channel. And here I am doing it again tonight, so we'll see what happens. I'm sure you trolls are reporting me right now. Here's a good one from Gary Cook I want to comment on. He says Biden did it. And originally I agreed with that. But now I look at Biden, and Biden can't even complete a sentence. So some of Biden's minions might have done it, but I don't think Biden's capable of doing anything. He can't even complete a sentence. I mean, he's the kooky old man in the nursing home. He yeah, I just don't, I don't think he could organize a slumber party. LOL trolls. Yeah, it their never ending effort to come after me, to try to figure out where I'm working, to try to get me fired, try to find out where I'm living, try to get me evicted. I mean, they never give up. And I'm sure right now there's 50 of them hitting that report button, and and that's fine. If it gets taken down, there'll be another Trucker Todd channel, uh, with a slightly variated name, and word will get out about it. And I won't have you guys for three or 4 weeks, and then y'all will be back again. We'll do it all over again. Like I said, I'm not afraid of failure. I'll just start over. He trips a lot. Yeah, I thought that too, and this week I've tripped a lot. So that doesn't necessarily mean you're old and crazy, but it does mean I'm old and clumsy. Michael's here. Good evening, my friend. Thank you for coming in. A lot of y'all want to talk politics. Maybe I should create a second channel and just talk politics. Maybe we could do that on the members thing, because everybody's wanting me to do a members thing too. And once a week I could come on and talk politics. We're at the 140 mark. If y'all have got anything, we'll keep going. If not, I'll wrap it up and get on the road. On the road. I guarantee you I've said enough to get myself in trouble tonight. Anybody else before we call it a night? Alrighty, I guess I'll go ahead and put an end to this one, bookmark it, and move on to the next one. Let's see. Don't believe you would be able to find the time. I'd make the time. I mean, here's the deal. When you were dating girls in high school and they're like, "Oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy." You found out that the girls that were really interested in you uh, made time for you. And you know, if your hobby was reading books, no matter how many sports you were in, how busy you were, you found time for what was important to you. And if there was a few of you guys that said, "Hey, Todd, we'd really like you to do a political thing," then I'd find a way to do a video or two a week of politics. It's just hard to do it in the trucking vein because I mean I'm doing so much of it now. But uh, if it's whatever the market calls for, if the market wants a political channel, then we'll try to do a political channel, see how it goes. If the market wants these lives, we'll try to do lives. I was looking at putting a third live in. Now, some of you guys want them 7 days a week, and I can't do that. But I can do 3 lives a week if I have to, or 2 lives and a recorded video about politics or something like that, if that's what y'all want. And there's going to be a lot of content in that area right now as the primaries heat up and things like that. So yeah, y'all email me, tell me what you're looking for, what you'd like to see, and I'll try to accommodate you guys as much as I can. If a video a week gets to be too hard, maybe we do a video every other week, or maybe we do them sporadically as news breaks or something like that. You're not going to get yourself in trouble. You're just speaking the truth. Yeah, but in the cancel culture that we're in now, people don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear what they believe. And if you're speaking the truth, if it doesn't fit their agenda or what they want to believe, then they try to get you taken off air. In my day, what we did is you didn't listen to it. If you didn't like what HBO was showing after dark, you just didn't watch HBO after dark. And then HBO would see that their viewership went down after dark and they'd change their programming. Now, if you don't like what a YouTuber's saying, instead of just not watching their channel, they're reporting you and trying to get you kicked off YouTube, or they're trolling you and trying to get you fired from your job. And I just don't see the point in it. I try to listen to people that do agree with me and that don't agree with me because I want to hear both sides. Occasionally, I'll flip over and listen to the other side on satellite radio or the other side on the political channels just to hear what the other side says and thinks. And we should all be open minded enough to do that. And so we'll see what comes up. I've always ran from politics and sharing my religious beliefs unless people specifically asked about that. But if that's something y'all are interested in, that might be a way we could do that members channel and make it work for everybody. Yeah, Craig makes a very good point here. When the cameras come on, you would think they're ready to throw fists, but when the cameras are off, they're golfing together, they're going out to dinner together, their wives are best friends, and in a way, I think that's good because then they can have those discussions and negotiations. But I just everything doesn't have to be a political debate. There has to be things that both sides agree on would be great for the country. And they need to quit worrying about who will get credit for it and just find a way to make it happen. You should run for president and we will vote for you. I wouldn't stand a chance. I got too many shortcomings, too many flaws. They would pick me apart, but I appreciate that. I'm better being an armchair quarterback. having said that, I have had some pretty decent discussions with some politicians that if I said their names, you'd know who they were about coming on the Tuesday show. And we may get them on at some point. It's harder than you think, and they're busier than you realize. But and they do a cost benefit analysis. They look at it and see with my viewership if they think it would benefit them politically. But as this channel continues to grow, I think when we get around 10 or 15,000 subscribers, I'll be able to pull some of those kind of people in, and I'll have enough of a track record on here that they can look and see what kind of guy I am. And I think you'll be surprised the kind of people we'll draw in the coming year or two. I'm proud of your friend Rhodes Scholar has finally had his own authority. Yeah, I saw that. I've been watching his videos. He did get his own authority. I think he's pulled 3 or 4 loads now on his own. He's trying to get that ES Advantage fuel card of mine, and I wish him the best. I sent him a message today. He's nervous and excited at the same time. I get it. I think he's going to do really good. He's a smart guy, and I wish him the best. Would like to see a truck driver for president. There was a guy a few years ago that ran as an independent. I think he lived in Florida and he was a truck driver. And of course, he didn't get much support. Problem is, it's hard to get truck drivers to stand together. If we could get a truck driver to run and he could get the truck drivers behind him and maybe a couple of these trucking organizations, because it takes a lot of money, then maybe we could get a truck driver. But we just we need somebody that cares about the country more than they do benefiting themselves. The way the structure was set up, it was never meant to make you rich. It was supposed to be a guy went and served his country for a few years, and then he went back to his farm or whatever. And now we have career politicians that they go to Washington well-to-do as successful attorneys or whatever, and they leave Washington billionaires. And something's wrong with that. And we need to look at how that happens and why that happens. And it, for one thing, they shouldn't be able to vote themselves a pay raise, and that's what Congress can do. They can vote themselves a pay raise, and we have to make them fiscally responsible on the economy. They can't just spend money like drunken sailors. Looking at a 2018 T660. You already know I like those trucks. Bring on Coach and Stewie. They would come on. I just don't know. I don't know what we would talk about. They've got their own channel. I've done roundtables with Coach before, so I kind of feel like we've already done that. There's not really, I don't really see where we would go with it if I brought them on. But if they contact me with something good that we could put on and we can make the scheduling work, I'm not opposed to it. I just right now they're kind of doing their own thing and I'm kind of doing my own thing, and so that's where it's at. Liberals can't handle the truth. Yeah, they would say that Republicans can't either, or conservatives, but I just think that, you know, even looking back on trucking, when I first started, 2 guys would get on the CB and they would debate at night to stay awake, and they would argue different points of view. But at the end of the night, they'd part on good terms. Now both sides seem like, you got to agree with me or I'm going to get rid of you. And we don't even have a discussion no more. If I say something people disagree with, they just unsubscribe and don't watch no more. They don't contact me and say, Todd, you know, you really offended me when you said this on Tuesday night. Why do you feel that way? Or Todd, I understand why you feel that way, but I want to see if I can change your mind. Can we talk about what you said on Tuesday night? They don't do that. They call my work and try to get me fired. Or they run a background check on me and see if they can find some dirt they can air. Or, you know, they report me to YouTube and try to get my channel taken down. And we don't grow as a people or as a country by not hearing opposing views and by not compromising and by not working stuff out. We should be able. That's why I like Tim back, and I normally don't call names, but he and I have had some pretty good disagreements about stuff. But we're both old school. At the end of the disagreement, we're still friends. Uh, there's no bad blood or nothing like that. We're not name calling. We're just giving our points of view, and he tries to change my mind, and I try to change his mind. And at the end of the discussion, we're still friends and everything's good. That's what we need to get back to, is where two guys can still disagree and live on the same planet. That's true. Woke people, we've got overly sensitive people here. Um, you know, we need to talk about the Constitution for a second. There is a freedom of speech. There is not a freedom to be heard or a right to be heard. So I can stand in front of my truck and say whatever I want to say. I have a right to do that, but I don't have the right to be heard. So if you walk by and don't like what I'm saying, you can keep walking, or you can stop and listen. We can debate, but you shouldn't try to get me canceled. You shouldn't try to get me arrested. Just don't listen if you don't like what I'm saying. Or better yet, come at me with an articulate argument and try to change my mind. Maybe you can. Sometimes, well, I can give you an example. When I first started with this company, several of you was telling me I should have started my own trucking company, got my own authority. And by the end of it, y'all had persuaded me to where it was something I was considering, still considering at some point a few years down the line. Now, the owner, he heard me say that, and he tried to persuade me against it. So I'm not sure if it's a benefit to me yet or not. But some of you were able to persuade me, and so people's minds can be changed if you can come at them with an articulate argument. Yeah, I think I agree with this. It's there's a couple of reasons, and I'll give you this example. You go back and listen to 80s rock and roll hair bands, and take Poison, for example. Don't need nothing but a good time. Go listen to that song. He talks about women and partying, but he also talks about work and having a job, things like that. Now we celebrate thug life, not having a job, beating our women, getting arrested, being on welfare. Uh, it's just a different time. We we spotlight bad behavior and aspire to it, and I think that's what's wrong. Growing up now, um, we don't aspire to get a job or make something out of our lives. We aspire to be a criminal or a druggie or a wife beater or something like that. And it's just, and I'm just picking one example in music. There's a lot of examples in movies and television that just edify bad behavior, and that's what kids aspire to when they grow up because it's put in front of them. And you know, they say words on TV now that would have got shows taken off the air when I was a kid. The F word is all over TV now, and it never would have been in years past. The FCC would have fined them or taken them off the air. If you guys don't like what Trucker Todd has to say, then stop watching him. Use your time wisely somewhere else. There you go. Well, I hope they still watch because we'll we'll hope to educate them. We'll hope to change their mind. But don't try to get me taken off the air just because you don't like what I'm saying. It's all about controlling you. Yeah, I heard a guy the other day, and he said there's a reason that they call TV programming. They're programming you. And think about that next time you watch a show. Trucker Todd, Jesus saves. Yes, he does. Trucker Todd 2024 for president. There you go. Oh, if you want to upset a troll, that would do it. Yes, you're right, Todd. These do-gooders are trying to tell us what to think and say. Oh, great show, Todd. Thank you, RCE. Well, and here's the deal about do-gooders and about sin in general. Everybody thinks that everybody else's sin is worse than their own. So what do I mean by that? Well, everybody thinks what they're doing wrong is a little bad, but not that bad. But everybody else is doing bad. So if 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 I covet my neighbor's things, that's a bad sin. But if my neighbor stole some bubble gum from the store, his sin's worse than mine. And you know, the fact is, God don't like any sin. So instead of us trying to elevate ourselves and saying, I'm better than this person because at least I don't have this sin or I don't have that sin, we just need to realize that God loves everybody and that He hates all of our sin and that we're all struggling and we're all trying to do better. Yeah, Tradition has some nice trucks, but I don't believe they have the ARI sleepers, which is the ones with like the kitchenettes in them and things like that. If they do, it'd be an owner-operator leased on there. A truck driver this year from New York won as a state senator. Wow. There you go. Sounds like Trump needs to get back in. Well, he is running. They're trying to sideline him with these legal issues, but they're really helping him. And I mean, the way I had a guy tell me, if you really want to punish a girl, the way you do it is to ignore them. The way you punish a politician is to ignore them. If you want to hurt Trump, don't pay attention to him. And the media can't do it. They could kill his traction if they would just quit reacting to everything he says. They don't realize he's getting a kick out of every time he gets a rile out of them, and he's getting a political bump too. And I believe that Trump loves this country. I believe he's trying to improve things. I believe he also says some stupid things. He doesn't behave like a traditional politician, and it gets him in trouble. But if you want to hurt Trump or any politician, ignore them. That's how you get rid of them. And the truck driver senator spent $100 on his campaign. Well, he might, but somebody backed him. I'm beat. I'm going to go ahead and hit the sheets for a bit. All right, Daryl, have a good night, my friend. There's a local election close to where I live, and some people talked to me about wanting me to run to be on the city council, but I'm out on the road too much. I couldn't attend the meetings and do all the stuff I'd have to do, and I'm so busy with everything else now. I don't know how I'd do it. Most of my family and my girlfriend's family are born and raised Republican, and all of them have told me that Trump did good things, but he messed them up with his comments. See, I think that's part of his strategy, though. He stays controversial. He stays at the forefront of people's mind, and it's free publicity for him. So, I mean, here he's been out of office over 3 years, and they talked about him the day he was out. I wonder if he'll run again. I wonder if he'll run again. And what does Trump think about this? What does Trump think about that? And Obama's the same way. Obama was very influential for the Democrats. And every time something happens, they go run to Obama. Obama, what do you think? What do you think? So I would say Obama and Trump are polar opposites, but they're still very influential, and people still care what they think and what they say and what they do. Now, I don't think there's any debate that Obama is more tactful than Trump, and I don't think there's any debate that Obama is well spoken and well calculated when he says something. And so, yeah, Trump's mouth definitely gets him in trouble. I won't argue that, but I think he does some of that to goat people to keep his name in the headlines. what you call the F word is actually not what it stands for, unlawful carnal knowledge. Well, it doesn't matter what it means or what it stands for. According to the FCC, it was a banned word uh, on public airwaves until just the last few years, and now they're allowing it. They're allowing more nudity on TV than they've ever allowed before. NYPD Blue, I remember when they showed, oh, was it Dennis Franz or whatever his name was? They showed his butt in one episode, and that was big news back then because it had never been done before. But now you can see all kinds of stuff on regular TV now after 9 o'clock at night, and uh, and so it's just times are changing, and not necessarily for the good. Help people get better. Well, I try. It's I'm only one person. That's why I have to hope that these videos inspire y'all to do something too. That's why I showed those videos of those two guys that were trapped in the back of their box truck, and I went over with a load lock and pried their door open. I'm not doing that so y'all say, "Oh, Todd, you're such a great guy." I'm doing that hoping that if you see an elderly lady somewhere with a flat tire, you'll walk over and help her change it, or offer her a bottle of water if you're not physically able to help her change it. Or, if a guy comes up, a truck driver was telling me a guy came up the other day and asked him if he could boost his truck off. And he was upset the guy didn't have any jumper cables, and so he had to use his jumper cables. But that's what I'm hoping, that when you see that video, not that you'll tell me, "Oh, Todd, you're such a great guy," but that next time you see somebody in need, you'll walk over and give them a hand. Um, that's the only way we make this world any better, is if we each do a little bit. But if it's only me or it's only you doing it, we're not going to change anything. Hey, Todd, here's a challenge for you. Get Trump on one of your lives. I'd love to, but that'll never happen. But I'd love to. I like the guy. I mean, do I agree with everything he says and does? No. But he's an interesting character. He's a historical figure, and I'd talk to him. It, it's. I guess I'm too dumb to know that I can't do things. So I'm always going to swing for the fences. I'm always going to do my best because uh, I don't I don't sit here and think, well, I might fail, or they're probably going to tell me no. I just try anyway. And I'll give you an example. When I was in like fourth grade, I had a TI 99 4A computer. Some of you don't even know what that is. Some of you have forgot about them. But look that up sometime. A Texas Instruments TI 99 4A computer. I had a video game on it, and there was this one level that I couldn't get through because of the settings on the game. And I called the guy that programmed the game. He was in Canada at his mother's house, and I got the unlock code for the game where I could get in the programming, and he taught me how to program my game where I could get through that one part I was having trouble with. Now they call it cheats in video games, and you can get it off of YouTube. But my parents didn't know I did that. They found out when they got the phone bill, and they're like, "Hey, somebody called Canada." And I confessed. I said, "Yeah, I called a programmer up there," and I was like in fourth grade. I didn't know about long distance calls. I said, "I called a programmer up there and got him to help me with this game." Well, they weren't mad then. They were like, "Wow, that was kind of impressive." And so I'm just that way. I don't realize when I do stuff that, hey, they're probably going to tell me no. I'm like, well, I'll try anyway. Maybe they say yes. And so, yeah, if I ever met Trump at a rally or something, I'd say, "Hey, you want to come on my show?" He'd probably say no, or his people would say, "Get away from him, you crazy." But I'd ask. The Georgia charges are BS. They took what he posted on his Twitter page. If he's convicted, what happens to our First Amendment rights? Yeah, And that's the problem. Sometimes we can get, and I'm talking to the trolls now, so you trolls listen up. Sometimes you can get so focused on trying to take somebody down, trying to destroy somebody, that you can destroy yourself. If you've got something legitimate, bring it, but stop looking for monsters behind the door when there's no monsters behind the door. And they want to get Trump so bad. And if he's really as reckless as everybody thinks he is, then he'll provide enough rope to hang himself. He doesn't need y'all to do it with bogus charges that only make people want to circle the wagons around him more. So I don't think nothing's coming out of this Georgia charges. I don't think they think anything's coming out of these Georgia charges, but they're hoping it'll hurt him politically. And if he gets reelected, people will point to these charges as one of the main reasons he got elected, just like people point to COVID as one of the main reasons Biden got elected. Hey, Miss Mother Trucker's here. LOL, what have I logged into? What's the subject? Politics. Yeah, I have resisted talking about politics, and they've got me in a corner. They're making me talk about it. So I keep trying to spin off of politics, and we keep coming back to it. But now that Miss Mother Trucker's here, we can talk about whatever she wants to. Throw a subject up, Mother Trucker or Miss Mother Trucker, and save me. Yeah, I love your videos. Thanks, No Fear. I appreciate it. Now, this is what I like to hear right here. This is what makes doing YouTube worth it. I gave two guys water earlier in New Mexico. That's what it takes to improve trucking and what it takes to improve the country. And you say, ah, it's just two bottles of water. Maybe those people go out and now they help somebody because No Fear helped them. Just think about that. Maybe if they're young people, they decide to be a truck driver one day because they go, hey, that No Fear truck driver was pretty cool. I want to be like him when I grow up. You just don't know what kind of impact you're going to have on somebody's life. I don't know what that is. There you go. Everything happens on election year, like this last year. Democrats paid to publicize thousands of gun shootings, and reps paid to publicize Biden's dementia. It always happened, always will. Yeah, and the Democrats actually call it October surprise, and they try to have a surprise every October uh, to sway the votes their way. When I was in elementary school, I remember using an Apple computer. It's amazing how much technology has been since my school days. When I was in school, we didn't have cell phones. Yeah, anybody remember playing Oregon Trail on Apple computers? Shane Lee is here. Hello, Mr. Todd. Hang on, this guy's about to hit my truck, I think. Just a second, I'll be right back. I meant to turn off my mic while I was guiding him back. I didn't mean to turn my screen off. Anyway, I don't know what it is. Every time I do a live, I get paranoid about somebody backing into me. I guess because I have my curtains closed, but I could see him like out of the corner of my eye, and it was really distracting. All right, let's see where we're at now. Sorry about that. People hate it when I talk about politics, both Republicans and Democrats. I'm a liberal Republican, somewhere in the middle where common sense lives. There you go. It's uh it's funny to me about both sides because somebody will come out with an idea and the other side automatically has to be opposed to it, no matter how crazy the opposing opinion is. So you would think sometime when something's kind of middle of the road and a good idea, they'd both just say, you know what, we're gonna agree on this one. We're not even gonna fight them. But it's like, oh well, Senator such and such co-sponsored the bill, so we've got to be against it. And then seems like 5 or 6 years later, they're arguing for the same thing they were against. My mother still has a bunch of old 8 tracks. I can't find an 8-track player. Look on. I bet you can get one on Amazon. They still make record players. Shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if Best Buy couldn't get you one. Congress has called up the DA that brought the charges against him to D.C. for questioning herself. Yeah, and that DA, she has political ambitions, so the next election cycle, look for her to be running for a larger office. Oregon Trail was great, repairing wagon wheels, fighting thieves, and killing bison. Yeah, I've actually got the modern version of that game on my Nintendo Switch, and it's pretty fun, but I keep dying. Uh, Seems like a lot of my people on Oregon Trail get I forget what it is, dysentery, dysteria, something like that, some kind of disease, and I end up spending all my medicine trying to save them. Gary, be nice if you could find one. Oh, you can still get that stuff on. You can still get those old computers and stuff on the internet. That vintage gaming is starting to come back. There's a lot of collectors and stuff, but that stuff's getting real expensive too. You can also buy emulators now and play them on your laptop. And some of the emulators are free. I said buy them, but you can get them for free. You just have to know where to look online. I'm currently looking for some of that stuff online myself, and when I have time to look. Gary says, yes, it would. No fear. I'm just hoping someone puts up with a Republican this year. Yeah, like we were saying earlier, it's still early. All one of them's got to do is say something wrong or do something wrong, and it could change the whole political landscape. And we got several months for somebody to slip up, and some of them are going to have to take some pretty big chances because they're so far behind in the poll. They got to get their name out there, and sometimes it's a gamble that pays off, and sometimes it's not. But we'll just have to see what happens. Oregon Trail, that was my favorite. There you go. Like I say, you can get those. You can get emulators and play them on your current laptop. A lot of people don't know this, but Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, he was involved with Oregon Trail, the software company, when that game came out. Yeah, eBay is a good resource. Politicians are bobbleheads. They talk a lot of crap to get into office, and then they clam up and take in the proceeds. Big business and money runs the country, not a president. Very true. Okay, John, I'll give you a call tomorrow since you're going to bed. Have a great night. Just tell me before you leave, am I in trouble for something? Are you mad at me about something? That's an inside joke between him and me. They couldn't shut Trump up, and that's why he's out. Yeah, there's a lot of people that feel that way. I do too. We could do a show about autocorrect. I hate that. I hate autocorrect. I hope someone puts up a good Republican this year to vote for, someone who's polished and can work with others in the world. Who remembers Atari? My favorite game with Pac-Man, Frogger, Donkey Kong. Atari actually has, well, they've got two new consoles. One of them came out about 3 years ago. It's a VCS. I've got one here in the truck. And it'll play like Xbox Game Pass on it, but it also has like a lot of the old Atari games that you can download, purchase. You can put emulators on it. Mine also works as a computer. I've got Windows 11 on it, and it's pretty cool. But just this week, they announced one they're calling the 2600 Plus, and it'll play the old Atari 2600 and 7800 games on it. I believe it's coming out in November, but they're taking pre-orders on it now for $129, and they've released some new games as well. But it's like $129. I probably won't buy it because I don't have any cartridges, and I can do it on my current Atari. But for somebody that has a bunch of cartridges up in their attic or something, that would be a heck of a buy. Hey, DIY Semis here. Thanks for coming in, my friend. I just finished my orientation, been running a few days with the new company. So far, not very good miles my DM gave me. Do you want to say what company it is, or do you want to keep it a secret for now? Okay, good. John says I'm not in trouble. I'll call you in the morning, my friend. Or, well, what's morning for me? It'll probably be, it may even be lunchtime after I get my other load, but I'll give you a call tomorrow for sure. And if I forget or get behind, give me a call. Used to play that back in grade school. Yeah, that was a cool game. John says I'm not in trouble. Well, good. Oh yeah, was Simon the game that had the four colors and you tried to tap them in the same order as what they beeped? I also had a Merlin. I don't know if you remember a Merlin. It looked like a red phone, and it had all kinds of games on it as well. The older Republicans and Democrats need to retire, like Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. There really should be term limits on that. Like I said, the forefathers intended them to go for a few years and then return to their businesses and to their places that they represent. They didn't expect them to go to Washington and be there 40 or 50 years. And I think about Strom Thurmond. He was there for decades until he passed away. Wow, we've gone almost 2.5 hours. An hour ago, I almost ended the show because I didn't think we had that much tonight. But you guys are keeping it going. If y'all got something you want to talk about, I guess the ban on politics is off. We can talk politics. We can talk trucking. Y'all can ask me questions, whatever you want to do. We'll go as long as y'all want to go. I came with drinks tonight. Y'all won't run me out. My throat won't get dry, and I think my voice will hold up. But yeah, you can see this headset's holding up. I'll show you that solar powered thing real quick. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me, but right there where it says Modcom 1 Eco Pro, that's the solar part of it. You can see it's kind of shiny, and that's what, when it gets light, it's charging. I don't know if my laptop will tell me what the battery's at right now. Let me see if it will. Yeah, I'm at 50% right now, and it'll maintain that 50% the whole time we talk. If I check it an hour from now, it'll still be at 50%. And that's the thing I like is like No Fear says, you still hear me good. It's got good sound. It's comfortable. I find myself wearing it even when I don't have a phone call. Yeah, Pitfall and Jungle Hunt were two of my favorite games. Jungle Hunt on the Atari 2600 was a lot of fun, and at some point I'm going to put an emulator on this Atari. I have an Atari 5200 at the house, and I'd like to get Jungle Hunt on it or put it on this Atari. I've got, I don't know how many games, probably 13 or 15 games for the Atari 5200. Man, it's already almost 9:30. I thought you guys all went to bed early. I can't believe you're hanging around. This is awesome. I never played Hitman, or I don't think I did. Yeah, so when I'm driving down the road, this is some kind of behind the scenes stuff. I have one phone that has two phone numbers on it. It has an eSIM and then a regular SIM. And then I've got another phone that has another number on it. And I've got both of those phones paired to this headset. When I do these lives, I disconnect both of the phone Bluetooths and I hook the headset to the Bluetooth on my laptop. But yeah, the short answer to your question is you can have two devices hooked to it at the same time. And I have one of them set to go to my radio also. So if I want to listen to music, it plays through my radio. And I got one of them set to go to my headset. So if I need to listen to something and I want it to play through my headset, say I'm doing something outside or something, I can play it through the other phone and it'll come through my headset. But yeah, it easily runs two devices and it's easy to hook up. If you buy one and have trouble hooking up two devices, just get a hold of me and I'll walk you through it. It's really easy. I've always said that, Wesley. President can only be in office for 2 4-year terms, but we have other politicians retiring after years. Yeah, I agree. I think they need to limit them too. Not me. I'm on my way to LA to unload 11 p.m. tonight. Oh, man. The only bad thing about that is after you get empty, you're going to have a hard time finding parking. They fixed the load board. I'm assuming you're talking about Swift. You could also be talking about Dad. I think they're going down for maintenance tonight. I think at 8 p.m. they might be down right now. And if you're talking about Swift, as far as I know, I'm not at Swift. Hadn't been there for a few months. But the last report I got from guys that are still there, still beta testing it, is that it's still down. And he said, "Yeah, it's Swift. Yeah, Swift is. They said they were going to have it up in August. Maybe they will. I think a lot of guys are going to be disappointed when it comes out because it's not going to have what you think it's going to have on it initially. It's going to have uh, 005 freight, 005 freight, which is their solo over the road dry van freight. Same freight that the dispatchers put on you. Actually, the dispatchers have access to more freight than that. Later, they are going to add more freight, they claim, but in the beginning, it's just going to have that. They're also, right now, they're paying for the first 100 miles of deadhead. When it comes out to the public, they're taking that away. So you're going to still make the same mileage pay. It's not percentage, but you're going to do it without any deadhead pay, which you're currently being paid. So get ready for a 15 to 20% cut in pay if you want to do their load board. Now, guys say, well, but at least I can pick where I'm going. Well, you still can. I mean, and what they're going to tell you is, well, if you don't like it, just let us dispatch you. It's my opinion after talking to them, after hearing what their plans are, that they don't really want anybody on it, but they want to offer it so they can say they offer it. Now, for some people that live in the right area, maybe you can set yourself up. The thing it does do for you, the one benefit of their load board is oftentimes when you're about to be empty, that's when the planners start looking for a load for you. So a lot of times they don't have nothing. Whereas on the load board, they'll let you look 3 days early. So 3 days before you deliver, you can start looking for your next load. And theoretically, you could load yourself up more, but they still got a lot of freight they're not putting on there that you have to call and get. And so, I mean, it's just, I don't think it's going to be what everybody thinks it's going to be. And that was part of the reason I left. Mainly, I just had that other truck, and I wanted to try my own thing again, like I did at Dart. But I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed, and I think they're going to have a really big turnover when they turn people loose on it, and it's not what they thought it was going to be. And I think a lot of people are going to get themselves in trouble because they've never done it before. Let's be honest, a lot of Swift drivers aren't as experienced as some of us are, and so they're not going to think to check their hours and make sure they got enough hours to do the load. And they're going to pick loads in bad markets and then be mad when there's no freight coming out of there. And I think it's going to have a lot of problems. Picked up some yogurt in New Hampshire last night. Well, there you go. Where are you heading with that load, Wesley? Man, I wish that guy'd quit moving. Been weighing my options between Swift and Super Ego. So far, I can get any pay examples from Super Ego that don't seem like they were. Well, I wouldn't go to Super Ego for a whole host of reasons. Swift is not a bad program, but I think at Swift you're better off being dispatched than you are getting on their load board. But Swift's not a bad place to go. I don't think I could recommend Super Ego. I haven't heard of anybody having a good experience there long term. Gary Cook says don't go to Super Ego. I heard a driver from Super Ego getting ready to have their own load board. Well, I guess I need to talk about that. The problem is load board means different things to different people. And percentage means different things to different people. And maybe we need to talk about that for a second. There's different load boards. There's private load boards within a company where they basically show you what they want you to see. And lots of companies have that. Schneider has it, USA Truck has it. There's several companies that have a private load board. JB Hunt has it with just their loads. Then there's the spot market where there's load brokers like C.H. Robinson, Convoy, Coyote, the DAT board, Truck Stop. I mean, those where people put loads on there and you go on there and you bid on them or you pick them and you try to negotiate your own rate and they send you a rate con and you sign it. And so you know what your percentage is. Then there's companies that say, oh, well, we'll pay you a percentage. And guys think that, 80% is worse than 88%. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. The devil's in the details. There's some places that do 70% that's better than 80% because of the stuff they include in that. And there's places that pay 90% that I wouldn't work at. I think I'm getting better on my 80%. So, but guys that haven't done it don't know. They just say, oh, well, 85 is bigger than 80. This must be better. Or I know 65 is low at Landstar, but everybody likes Landstar, so I'll drink the Kool-Aid and go to Landstar. And so I wouldn't be too excited about Super Ego having a load board until some details come out about that load board. I brought that load to Allentown, Pennsylvania. Ah, okay. So you went from New Hampshire to Allentown, Pennsylvania. I get it now. Yeah, well said, Craig. The devil's definitely in the details. And, let me give you an example. You may find a company that pays 88%, but the truck payment, if you lease a truck through them, is $1,500 a month. Or you may find a company that only pays 70%, but the truck payment's 600 a week. They pay your tolls, they pay your base plates. So it's really more than 70% because of the stuff they're paying in there. And so you just got to find out. It's like these companies that say, we include maintenance. Well, maintenance means different things to different people. I talked to a guy this week. He's on one of those deals. His company only changes the oil in the truck like every 70,000 miles. He said he's been there like 4 months. They've never once lubed the truck, changed the filters, nothing like that. And he's like asking them about it. They're like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. He's like, no, I'm leasing this truck. I want you to maintenance it. And they said, well, we're following our maintenance schedule. I've told the story about when my air conditioner went out in California. It was over 100 degrees, and I had to sleep in an unair conditioned hot truck in my sweat for over a week to get back to Oklahoma City before they'd fix the air conditioner. I could have died in that truck, and they'd say, well, we do bumper to bumper maintenance, but we only do it at our terminal. And we've only got one terminal at Oklahoma City. We'll work you back here as quick as we can. It took them a week to get me back there. So definitely, this is why you have to do your homework. And you can't just watch a YouTube video and go, oh, well, that guy said it's good, so I've got to go there. Or you can't just look and say, well, that company pays 90%, so they must be the best. Or this company has hooded trucks, so they must be the best. You've got to look at the details. How many people are at Hurricane right now, starving to death, hoping in 90 days they can get a hooded truck? Or Western Flyer or a similar company. You guys know what I'm talking about. Well, then that's what I would do, Wesley. I would, each time you're at the terminal, I'd get all the rate cons and I would compare them. Not because your boss is dishonest, not because he's doing anything wrong, but because mistakes get made. Honest mistakes happen. They're people just like you are. They could hit a wrong button in the computer, and you want to double check those things. My situation here, I see the rate cons before the owner of the company does. So I know, I mean, I can pull out the calculator on my phone. I know instantly what that load's going to pay me. And so there's no way that the boss could screw me on a load. And he hasn't even tried. I haven't had one instance where I felt like he was doing something dishonest or shady or crooked. Not one time. And there's sometimes I felt like he was too fair with me. And I'll give you an example, and I probably shouldn't talk about this. When we put the starter on my truck, but he did most of the work. I felt like he should have charged me some labor. He worked his tail off, and he didn't. He took me to New Orleans to get the part in his Suburban. I felt like he should have charged me for the gas. He didn't. I asked him to charge me for the gas. Asked him to settlement deduct the gas. He said, "No, Todd, I want you to be successful here. I'm not gonna kick you when you're down." So I don't find myself auditing as hard as I would another company that was more dishonest, just because I've never seen him try to get over on me. If there is a mistake, I tell him about it and he fixes it real quick. And that's why I would tell you, if you get to the office of your company, And they're saying they'll show you the rate con. Go look at it, and hopefully you know how to read one. Hopefully you know what you're looking at, and uh, and make sure that you're getting everything you're supposed to be getting. Michael says he wouldn't fool with Super Ego until the lawsuit's over. Well, depending, if you went there now, you might could become a part of the lawsuit and get a little money. Again, I'd want to talk to the legal firm handling that, but it'd be something to look into. Tim says he had a broker tell me today she wished all drivers were like me, respectful and nice. We both agreed the world would be a better place if we were all nicer and more respectful. Well, I think, yeah, I agree with you. And I think that the thing we got to remember is the broker's trying to do the same thing you're trying to do. You're trying to get as much as you can get for a load, and they're trying to keep as much as they can keep for a load. They've got some work, they're dealing with some billing and some back end stuff. So they do deserve some money going out and finding the freight. I'm sure they pay to post it on these load boards. And so um, the key is to be friendly, to compromise. And like I said, I've got a couple of brokers that have made a folder on me, and it's because they want to do business with me. They like the way I am. They like the way Tim is. And that's how you get through these tough markets, is by taking care of your customer. And, they're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes. But if you communicate and you build a rapport with them, then I'll give you an example. I booked one today for $200 less than what I really wanted. And I turned it into a joke. I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to go ahead and say yes to this one, because I said, I've said no to you too much this month, and I need to say yes. And he started laughing. He said, I appreciate that, Todd. And I said, I don't want to get to the point where you're afraid to answer the phone because you think I'm going to hear all the details of the load and just say no. And he was laughing. He thought that was funny. So guess what? Next time I call that guy, he's going to be in a good mood, because I wasn't a butthole with him. I didn't start yelling at him about, oh, that's $200 too cheap and blah, blah, blah. I compromised a little. I'm still going to make money. Hopefully he still makes money, and we'll move on, live to fight another day. I heard that the FMCSA is watching these foreign ELD providers, so I think Super Ego is one of them. Yeah, I'll speak generally here so I don't get myself in trouble. There are some foreign owned trucking companies that have been accused of doctoring their logbooks to give their drivers more time to drive. I would say that's a very dangerous game, because when disgruntled drivers leave companies, they tend to snitch on those trucking companies that did that. So I'm not saying what companies, but I'm saying if you are a company that has been fudging your logs so your drivers could drive past their hours, eventually you're going to get caught, because they're going to snitch on you. FMCSA is going to look into you, or worse, one of your guys is going to have a wreck, and they can see all the places you've been, even if you change the drive line and everything. So hopefully, if you're a company that has done this in the past, you're going to stop doing that, and you're going to turn from your ways before you get caught. I didn't know this. Tim says you can play Oregon Trail on Apple Arcade. I love that game. It's fun on Nintendo Switch, and it's cheap too. It's less than $10, I think. I don't know. We bought it months ago, back when I had money. All they have to make for it 21 days, and they can live like kings. But everyone starves until then. Yeah. Let me go back up. Yep, that's true. We're still talking about Super Ego. I heard Ego has a person on staff you can call to clear your logs so that you can drive 24/7 if you want. So good for the FMCSA. Yeah, I've heard that too. Oh, I changed my oil filters and fuel filters over 25,000. Yeah, they evidently on these pack cars they say you can go to 70 now. I'm gonna do mine at 35, and I'll probably winterize my truck at the same time. We need to stop being Republicans and Dems, just be Americans, come together. Yep, I agree with you, Tim. I grease my truck once a week with a DeWalt grease gun. Yeah, so what I've been doing is when I go to one of these warehouses that makes you detach from your trailer, because I have the same trailer all the time, is I carry a couple of tubes of grease under the bunk and I'll grease it each time I have to unhook the trailer. Or if I'm in a shop for something, if I have to unhook, I'll grease it or they'll grease it. But and then each time I go home, I try to restock my grease supplies, so I'm not buying it at the truck stops. But yeah, you just need to have a strategy. Crap, I forgot to do that while I was at home. I've got the maintenance schedule for this truck, and I meant to print it out, and I didn't print it while I was at home. I printed like 30 sheets of stuff. I got some paperwork in from the company that I got to add to my permit book that's going to totally change my trucking business in a good way. And I've got it printed, and I just need to put it in my permit book. But I needed to print that maintenance schedule, and I didn't print it. So, and I won't be able to do it tomorrow while I'm in Lubbock. My wife will be at work, and I'll be over getting loaded. I wonder if I've got any emails from YouTube yet telling me they're going to demonetize my channel. Good grief, this battery's going dead. Let's see here. Doesn't appear I've got anything yet. So we're safe till morning. It'll probably take them a while to review everything. That's the important phone too. It's running the internet for the laptop tonight. Yeah, that's what you was saying. You was going to send me some pictures of it, but I never got to see your truck yet. Yeah, I probably froze for a second when I was plugging it in. The battery almost went dead on it. I didn't realize it wasn't plugged in. But I think we're probably going to wrap it up. The comments are kind of slowing down. We're creeping up on 3 hours, and I still got 3 hours to drive tonight. I was supposed to call John back after the video, but he's in bed, so I'll call him tomorrow. And if some of you are going to try to call me tonight, give me a few minutes before you call. I got to call the wife and say goodnight to her before she goes to bed. And then I'll be able to take your calls for a little bit tonight. All right, y'all have a safe one. Thank you for being here. And we'll catch you on Tuesday unless we come out with another video before then. Y'all take care. Be safe. Bye-bye.